So I was like, what's that? And he's like, it's something that I wish I had done if I was smarter. But you're smart, so you can do it. And that's just what my dad told me. That's just what my dad told me. I'm not saying that the Army is not for smart people, because that's kind of a misconception with the Army. But that's what my dad told me. So I went to go talk to the Air Force recruiter. And initially, the Air Force recruiter was kind of treating me like, nobody. I walked in his office. He was like, go take that practice test. Didn't even really ask me anything. And I did well on the practice ASVAB test. So when he saw my score, then he started treating me like, oh, okay, like you want to join? So I was like, yeah. At the time, I was a wannabe rapper. So I had did like wannabe rapper stuff, and I needed a waiver to get into the Air Force. So my recruiter was willing to work that waiver. It was a pretty easy waiver. We got the waiver done, and I had wanted to do, at the time, I think it was a weather job. And so he actually got me that job. My recruiter got me the weather job, did a waiver and everything. So I'm like, hey, this is pretty easy. And then they put me in a delayed entry program for like 11 months. This was back in 2004. I was in a delayed entry program for like 11 months. I was supposed to go to basic training in January of 2005. And December 26th, it was the night of Christmas. I was at a party. And when I was about to leave the party, one of my friends said, hey, can you take me home? I was like, hey, I can do it. I'm just going to go pick up my girlfriend before I take you home, and then I can take you home after that. And he's like, okay, cool. So we stopped at my girlfriend at the time's house, and we're waiting on her to come out, and we're waiting on her. A cop pulls up behind me, and I'm thinking like, there's no way you can pull me over. I'm already pulled over.
I'm already pulled over.
Pull over farther, man.
I'm already pulled over.
He's already pulled over. He can't pull over any farther.
So finally, my girlfriend comes out. She gets in the car. She's like, what's up with the cop? I'm like, I don't know. So I try to pull off, and the cop turns on his light. So I'm like, okay, this is weird. So the cop comes up. The cop is asking questions, asking if he can search the car. I was like, okay, I don't care. You can search the car.
Wrong.
Apparently, my friend at the time had some marijuana on him, and the cop found the marijuana in my car. So the cop puts us both in the back of his cop car. And I start talking to my friend. I'm like, hey, you're going to have to claim that weed because I'm going to basic training in 2 weeks. And my friend was like, all right, no problem. I'm going to claim the weed, blah, blah, blah. So while we're sitting in the back of the car, I'm pissed off. I'm like, it's Christmas. So I say, hey, this cop. And then I realized, like, you know what? They might be recording this conversation. So we stopped talking. They pull me and my friend out of the car. They put us on a curb, and they sit us there. And the whole time they're sitting us there, one of the cops is sitting there reviewing that tape. When he's done with the tape, the cop comes up and he says, which one of y'all called me? So I already knew. I was like, this is it. I'm going to jail. So they took me and my friend to jail. So I'm supposed to leave for basic training in 2 weeks, right? So I get out of jail. It was like they only kept us in there for like 2 days or maybe a day, or I can't remember. But they let us out. And I called my recruiter, and I'm like, hey, you're not going to believe what happened. And he said, don't tell me that.
No.
He already knew what happened, right? So I was like, yeah, man, I went to jail. And he's like, well, what happened? I told him the story. And he's like, okay, well, get off. Can you get the charge dismissed or whatever? I said, I'm going to try. I didn't really have money at the time, so it was hard for me to get a lawyer. I think I paid $500 for a lawyer. So $500 for a lawyer, he wasn't really trying to rush anything. But the case, basically, I lost my date for basic training. I did not go to basic training in 2005. Everything just kind of stopped for me. And I'm trying to fight this case that it wasn't my marijuana. I'm trying to fight the case. And I just kind of gave up on the Air Force. Like at that time, I already had a waiver. I was just like, okay, this isn't meant for me. I'm not supposed to be in the Air Force. So I'm fighting this case. It's the biggest depression of my life, really, because, I went from supposed to be changing my life, supposed to be going into the Air Force, and now I don't even have my job at Wendy's anymore. My car broke down on me, so I couldn't get to Wendy's. It was just bad. But I eventually saved up enough money to where I could get a car, and I started working at Kirby, or working for Kirby. I was actually selling vacuum cleaners door to door. I was knocking on people's doors selling that vacuum cleaner. So yeah, I did that. It was just a bad time in my life, but I did that just try to make ends meet during that time. Eventually, I get this case dropped down to a paraphernalia charge, not a possession of marijuana, but a paraphernalia charge. And I didn't tell my recruiter. At that time, I was like, it's over, right? So I'm working, And then I get a call about a year later after the whole incident, and my recruiter's like, hey, what happened with that charge? And I was like, it got dropped down to a paraphernalia charge. He's like, for real? I was like, yeah. He's like, I might be able to work with that. And I was like, man, I don't want to waste your time. He was like, well, hey, if I put in the time, are you willing to put in the time? And I was like, at that point, I felt obligated to. I already wasted his time before, so I was just like, okay, I will. So my recruiter put in another waiver for me. I already was supposed to have a waiver the first time, and now he's putting in another waiver for me for going to jail on him during his delayed entry program. Really weird, right? But he did, and I didn't even ask him to. He just did. Somehow, some way, my recruiter got that waiver approved. But at this time, he wasn't trying to get me, the job that I wanted anymore. He was like, hey, you're going to take this electrical aptitude area, and it's leaving in 2 weeks. So I was like, oh, everything's moving so fast. But, he just worked that waiver, and I basically had to do whatever he told me to at that point. So I took the electrical aptitude area, and I went to basic training. So, my original job, when I got the electrical aptitude area, I got the electrical and environmental systems, basically an electrician on aircrafts. And then I had cross-trained because I didn't really want to do that job. It was a waiver. So I always told myself when I get eligible to cross-train, I'm going to cross-train into something else. So when I cross-trained into imagery analyst or geospatial analyst. And then, I was like, I always wanted to be a recruiter. Let me see if I can do that. So I went and talked to my chief, and my chief was like, yeah, you can do that. As soon as the opportunity is available, we'll put you in. So I ended up getting picked up for recruiter. When I was there, that's when I realized that as a recruiter, it's your choice to work the waivers. Like if you have time and if the applicant is worthy of putting into the Air Force, it's all at the recruiter's discretion. And that's when it hit me that my recruiter really took his time and I don't know why. Like, I don't know why he did it. Like, I still don't know to this day why my recruiter put me in the Air Force, but he did, and he gave me a chance. So because he gave me that chance, I realized that I need to be giving that chance to other people. So in Iowa, I was working a bunch of waivers. I was working a bunch of different special cases, trying to get people into the Air Force. And then I asked to become a recruiting instructor after my time as a recruiter in Iowa. And I wanted to do that to kind of change people's minds about waivers. I know a lot of people don't like waivers in recruiting, but I wanted to tell people like, hey, if you work the waivers, you could potentially put in somebody like me. And then when you guys see me doing these videos, it's just so I can continue to help people. I felt like my recruiter helped me in a way that he didn't have to. So I'm taking that blessing that he gave me and I'm putting in my part and trying to help as many people as I can understand the Air Force benefits and lifestyle, because it is a good thing and it changed my life. So when you see me passionate about it, when you see me coming on the screen and I'm all excited, it's real. Like, this is my passion and this is what I enjoy, and I got a chance to do it. So I'm trying to give everyone the same chance. So when you see me doing it, I don't want anybody saying like, hey, this dude's weird. It's just that I was given a chance to do something that I probably shouldn't have had the chance to do. So like I said earlier, I was able to, work waivers and help people with special cases. And I was able to help this one girl. She reminded me a lot of myself when I was younger. She had come into my office. She had been denied by the Marines, by the Army, by the Navy, and by the Air Force. She had been denied by all 4 branches prior to coming to see me. And she just wanted to give it one more shot. Her mother actually helped her. And if you guys watch this video, you can see her waiver story. And also, if you're a waiver yourself, you can learn about the process. Like I always say, I hope this video brought value to you. Stay beautiful, stay classy, and until next time, check me out.
Fell apart.
Oh, they did. What's up, y'all? Hey, somebody commented about a week ago saying I should do a reaction video for my channel. And I don't usually do these. Matter of fact, I've never done this before, so this is my first time.
First time.
But before we begin, I want to start something new for my channel called the Comment of the Week. Last week, somebody left a good comment. They said, I just want to say your channel does great things for people and you don't cuss much. And your channel is good, and in the near future, that's what I think he wanted to say, you're going to have 1 million followers. Hey, I like that. If you want to get comment of the week, go ahead and write one below. I'm going to incorporate this in all of my videos, so let's go ahead and start the trend now. Whoa. It's been a while, but I don't remember explosions when I went to basic training. That's different.
This is Air Force
I remember getting
boot
yelled at
camp
like that. That's normal.
before they joined the United States.